What is up, you fucks? We are back with another edition of the Doom Scroll cast. I am your host, Lord Botha, and if you are not familiar with the show, every week on Tuesday nights we get together and we discuss topics in video games, movies, television, politics even. This is the one place on this channel where I let my political flag fly, as we could say. I have to be very careful on the enunciation of those words so the YouTube AI does not hit me. Anyway, we got a lot of topics to cover. We got the Shrek trailer drop. We're going to take a look at that. I've seen it, but I have thoughts. So we're going to look through it together. What else happened? Oh yeah, Xbox is in free fall. It's not actually. They're actually making smart moves. People see the cuts in studios and they see all this bad financial news that's being said basically by Asha Shawarma. I said Asha Shawarma, yeah. I don't know how that joke has not been made yet. But Asha Sharma, she's pretty much been very transparent. Almost too transparent, some might say. Xbox fanboys might say that. About the financial troubles of Xbox and the mistakes of Xbox. And now having to correct those mistakes. But we'll get into that too. What else we got here? Oh, we got JD Vance. He went on The View today. We're going to talk about that. Maybe. We have Sean Penn is directing a movie that is completely fucking stupid, if you ask me. James Gunn announced TV show today. A TV show that is a horrible idea that I think just exists because, and he's just pitching because, like, hey, why not? The DCU's probably gonna be dead in like a year or two or whatever, you know. So after the Warner Brothers merger goes through with Paramount, so we might talk about that. We got a few other topics, small things. Fable, that's another thing I put on here. Fable, everybody's lost their fucking minds over Fable's gameplay and like the character models. I don't think they're good either, but I think everything's being overblown. We'll talk about that too. And yeah, then we will do what's called the Doom Scroll. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the show, after we go through all the topics, or as many topics as I can cover or want to cover, we do the Doom Scroll, which is I literally just live scroll Twitter. Just raw dog Twitter. I do not, or I have not, had anything too spicy show up in my feed really ever. Interestingly enough, when you don't interact with that kind of content on main, you don't get a whole lot of that. There's been a few instances where there's been some stuff on there where like, oh, I gotta scroll fast past that because I can't show that. But for the most part, nothing that's like instant, like you're gonna get fucked material. Mostly because there's somebody getting fucked. But, you know, but we're going to go through all that. We're going to do the Doom Scroll. And I hope you guys are having a good night. Go ahead and hit the like button if you can. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit the hype button. That always helps as well. YouTube is into the hype shit now. So we got to do that to help with the algorithm. But yeah, always appreciate you guys. You guys make this whole thing go around. Appreciate anybody catching on the VOD, all that stuff. But yeah, we're going to go through all of these topics here. And let's bring it up. You know what? Let's start with... let's just bring it up and let's start with it. Let's start with Shrek. Okay. Hope you guys are having a good night. So, I probably should open with this. Today was actually technically my birthday. So, yeah, 32 today. Here's the thing, man. When you're a man, when you are a man over the age of 16, nobody gives a shit about your birthday anymore. Nobody cares, okay? Once you, as a man, can get a job, like legally can get a job, nobody gives a shit about your birthdays anymore. I'm sorry. Because at that point, you can buy stuff for yourself. So everybody's just like, be a fucking man, buy it for yourself. And to be fair, as a man, typically, when you want something and you have a job because you're a grown man with a job, you typically just buy it for yourself. So it becomes very difficult for people to buy you gifts, really, because all the stuff that you want that you can't obtain that would be nice gifts for you are typically like stuff other people can't afford. Stuff women can't afford too, okay? Stuff other men in your life can't afford. Like cars, a house, a expensive fucking, toys that you might want in terms of like golf clubs, shit like that. Like people are not gonna buy that shit for you. You gotta go out and buy it yourself, okay? Anyway, so birthdays are kind of whatever. The only thing I really did today on my birthday was play video games while in between editing a video, and I ate way too much food today. I feel fat. I feel just terrible. I feel like, how could a woman ever be attracted to me ever? Because I've eaten so much today, I feel terrible. And that's the indulgence I had today on my birthday. I had cake. I shouldn't have had cake because I don't even really like cake. But it was in front of me and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to eat it. So yeah, I feel not great in the tummy today. But it was tasty, I will give you that. So yeah, let's go ahead though. Now that the birthday announcement, if you want to call it that, is out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at the Shrek trailer. Let me bring it up here. Shrek 5. Okay. Yeah, this looks... Gosh, man. Gosh. All right. Let's put on the headphones. The best $30 headphones we can get at Walmart. That is what I have. How bald do I look today? Fairly bald. But it's okay. I'm well over 30 now, so it's okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go to that. Let's make sure. Okay. Nope, that's not the one I want. This is the one I want. There it is. Okay. Audio is good. I'm always worried about the audio on these things. Anyway, let's make me a little smaller. I'm a little too... There we go. All right. Let's take a look here. Probably going to get hit for this shit.
Once upon a time, a hideous ogre and a delusional donkey embarked on a journey to the magical city of further away.
Oh my god, it's happening! It's really happening!
So, obviously, out of the gate, they're trying to do a legacy joke. Far away. This is further away, so yeah.
Happening? Do you know what that means? I need a makeover. Get my arms yoked and my back jacked, my abs added, maybe even tighten up my badonkadonk.
No, definitely not.
So what you're saying is Shrek and Donkey off on another...
No, don't say it.
These character models,
Two stalwarts.
I don't know
What this is?
I don't know what this animation is. So like, this is like they put Shrek through an AI filter, right? Like they said, give me an AI. They asked Grok to give them a picture of Shrek from the Shrek movies or characters from the Shrek movie, from the Shrek movies in the AI. Like this, it's weird. It's uncanny because they look like the characters. They look in the style that you remember, but also they look off and different. And it's like, I don't know if it's because all the animators that did do the original Shrek and all that, or Shrek through the years, are now gone. And like the new animators don't know how to do like that animation. So they're just like, this shit looks like, it looks like the rest of DreamWorks now, modern DreamWorks, in that like it looks like the Trolls movie, right? It looks like that one what was it, like Ever After or whatever the fuck it was called, about the kid in the magical land whose dad died, and like he needs to get the staff to like bring his dad back for the day. He messes up. Anyway, I forgot what that was called. It's like the Wish something. I don't remember. But it looks like that. It looks like every other DreamWorks project. And anyway, it looks just, I mean, look at it, man. Like, how did we get here? How did we get to, how did we, what's going on with his eyebrows? I just don't. So let's
On a whirlwind, okay, big city.
Oh, I'm caked up like a friggin' bakery.
I don't. Oh, hold on. There we go. Let's take a let's
Yes. On a whirlwind, okay, big city. Oh,
I'm not on the right screen. There we go. Unfortunately, you have to see this too.
What the hell is even that?
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Why are you gay?
Try to relax your anus.
No. Why are we? You want to talk about? So, like, I always hear these things like said where people are like, "Oh, Transformers movies like are like juvenile, shitty, like ass humor," or like recently, Masters of the Universe. There were some dudes that were complaining, "Oh, it has juvenile, humor about fucking Fisto and all that shit." But this, I don't.
Caked up like a friggin' bakery.
Oh, don't twerk. No.
Wanna date a snowman?
Speed up, Shrek.
So, making fun of Frozen. I'm for that. They're not going to make fun of Frozen enough or the right way, but
You really can't help yourself, can you?
Hell to the no, I can't. Shrek ain't done.
the voice acting also sounds weird. It seems like off with the style of the art and like it's I don't know.
Getting two stalwart friends off on another whirlwind big city adventure. Oh, this is bad.
Like it feels like Mike Myers and Eddie Murphy are trying too hard to be the characters instead of just being the character. Like, does that make sense to you? Like,
Baby, come back.
his son has the fucking hair, dude. I can't with the fucking.
Hiya!
I can't with the fucking the hair, dude. It's why does he have the zoomer hair? Like he has the Riz zoomer hair. Like I can't.
Any kind of fool could see.
At least I will say like there was this whole idea that the movie was supposed to be about like Shrek and his daughter and like super focused on his daughter, and they were ignoring the fact that like Shrek had like sons in the previous movies, and a lot of people were thinking like, oh, this is gonna be Shrek the girl boss movie where like she's better than everything than Shrek and her mom. She educates her parents on their backward ways, things like that. But yeah, at least they're showing the sons here, and like it might be more centrist. I don't know. We'll see.
There was something in everything about you. Roxy!
Donkey!
Exposed.
That's not the one.
Hiya!
That's a. If you don't know, that's a reference to 48 Hours. 48 Hours was a movie that came out in the late 80s, I think. Like 88, 89, maybe the early 90s even. But 48 Hours was a movie with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, obviously plays Donkey, about a cop who takes a felon out of prison for 48 hours of leave so he could help him track down two wanted criminals that escaped from prison. It's a good movie. Fairly good buddy cop movie. It's I don't know why they would reference it in a Shrek film. There's like 0.05% of the audience that will see this that will know what 48 Hours is. Because 48 Hours is like a young Gen Xer movie. And all of them have gotten to the point where their kids are grown up and they're essentially grandparents, a lot of them at this point, that they're not really going to Shrek movies. And the kids are probably not going to know what 48 Hours is. They shouldn't know what it's a pretty rough. It's one on the rougher ends of Eddie Murphy's movies, I would say. It's more rough than Beverly Hills Cop, I'll say that. Like more serious. Even though it is a comedy. And yeah. The millennial parents, I doubt they would know what it is either. So, like, I think this is going to be chock full of jokes that, like, people aren't going to get. Or references that a lot of people aren't going to get. It does seem like it's a return to form in some ways. Trying to be referential humor to society. Trying to have more adult jokes referenced in there than previously. Because, listen, I haven't seen Shrek 3 or 4, but from what I've heard, they were very... It had become a kids franchise. So that, which is funny because Shrek started out as a franchise that was set to make fun of like kids animated fantasy movies, right? Like that was its purpose. But then it became a fantasy like kids franchise itself. And that's partly because in Shrek 2 they make it a bit more kid friendly, but there's still more adult humor. I think Shrek 2 is an all-time great film. I think Shrek 2 is a perfect balance of like adult humor that kids may or may not get. That's really funny. And like a basic premise and story that kids can get behind. And I mean that that sequence at the end where Shrek is trying to rescue Fiona or get to Fiona, and they're playing the like "I Need a Hero" like song and sequence, like it's so good, so fucking cool, so good. And the soundtrack just in general to the movie is so fucking good. But the 3 and 4, from what I heard, were basically kids' films. And this is kind of, I think, returning more form in terms of maybe the writing or the comedy. But the actual plot and story is yet to be seen. And I'm not impressed with what I see in terms of the animation and the changes they've clearly made in the animation. And I don't know. The tone just feels like... The tone feels like... It feels like a washed up comedian that used to be popular trying to still prove to you that he still is, right? It feels like that. It feels like a guy that used to be really big in the comedy scene and then he fell off or he had a controversy or something, is trying to come back and like remind you of how good he was by doing like some different off-color version of the greatest hits. I don't know. I'm probably not going to see it in theaters. This, as it stands even right now, and probably, there's not probably much that's going to change my mind. Streaming movie. Like, yeah. Anyway. Wasn't impressed. And I'm not the only one, too. I saw a lot of interaction online that was basically like, it looks weird, it looks off, doesn't look like Shrek. They changed the animation, yada, yada, yada. But, yeah. So, this also has to do with film a little bit. Can take these off now. Okay. This also has to do with film a little bit. It also has to do with politics. Let's bring it up here. So, apparently, you know, let's there we go. Sean Penn is directing a January 6th drama with Bradley Cooper starring as a Capitol cop. Where is it? There it is. I don't know who thought this was a good idea, but like, so here's the thing. This is one of those movies that exists purely out of Hollywood hubris. This is one of those movies that exists because Hollywood, and specifically people like Sean Penn, Bradley Cooper, all these people, they think, because of like relativity bias, because they hang around with these people that all think the same as them, this hive mind mentality, they think that their beliefs politically, culturally, socially are the dominant beliefs of the United States. And the reason why the people who don't believe what they believe are in power is because of corruption and vote rigging and election interference and yada, yada, yada. Not that they actually just generally won because people like their ideas more or like the candidates more. They refuse to believe that or accept that. And what you have here is somebody or a group of people thinking that their beliefs are the dominant beliefs in society, no matter what the polls say. And they're going to make a movie that they think is going to be lauded and accepted by the audience, general audience, because, hey, It's what's right. It's the correct opinion. It's the popular opinion, even though it's not. The problem is that it used to be when Hollywood types would get these fucking ideas in their head, producers and studio execs would be the ones that would come in and say, "What are you, fucking retarded? No, we're not going to make that. Because that's not going to play well to middle America. And if your movie wants to make money, it needs to play to those people. And I'm sorry, you're not going to replace those people with fucking Europeans, who are the people that would buy into this fucking movie. You're just not. And I don't foresee this movie making a big box office. Man, maybe it has a unique story. Maybe it has a unique perspective. I don't know. They choose a real cop that exists. I think it's supposed to be based around a real person. And they have some extraordinary, background story that's worth telling. And then they just happen to go through this historical event. My guess is not going to be that. And my guess is that they're not going to 100% depict the January 6th riots as anything accurate. So, yeah. Especially with it's Sean Penn. I mean, Sean Penn is a wildly crazy leftist. And, yeah. So let's see here. I'm going to bring up the view here. Let's see if I can bring it up now. For some reason, okay, here it is. Okay. I don't know. I might have to hit the pause button several times in this. But I'd like to watch the whole thing. We'll see here. I hold on. I'm gonna go to the BRB screen. I gotta open the vent in my fucking room. I'm dying here. It's so hot, and I will be right back. Okay, we're back. Let's see here. Okay. All right, let's take a look here. Let's make sure the audio is correct. That. Okay. So let's put the headphones back on. And let's take a listen here. 24. I mean, we might skip through parts of this. I don't know, but we're gonna take a look. I'm interested to see. This is shout out to he's a piece of shit, Aaron Rupar, but he did put up the entire interview, right? So let's take a look.
Good.
Well, we'll find out. I think you have the first question, Alyssa.
Yes, Mr. Vice President, thank you for being with us. Now, you came into office with clear momentum, but when I talk to my friends and family who supported you and the president and still support you and the president, one issue comes up time and time again, and it's the economy. Inflation's up, wages are down, gas prices are starting to drop at news of this Iran deal, which we will get to.
Sure.
What can you say to voters who trusted you to lower costs on day one, and will they be satisfied by November?
That's actually a fair question. So, yeah, I think so the excuse that Trump always uses for this is that, well, we just have to take a stop in Iran and do this one thing, and then, gas prices, we knew gas prices were going to go up. We knew the economy was going to get bad because of all this, blah, blah, blah. But we fucking did it anyway. I don't think that this is the problem. I think that at the end of the day, Iran is going to be a worst case scenario in that we're going to look back on Iran and this conflict as something we point to and go, what did you do that for? Because it doesn't seem like it served any what has been changed in Iran? Ayatollah, whatever the fuck his name was, is gone, right? He was killed in the attacks. Son's take over. His son is basically infirm, laid up, incapable from what I've heard. And like he's like one-legged or something like that. Maybe have a touch of the gay apparently too. I don't know. It's easy to catch sometimes.
Try to relax your anus.
Why are you gay?
But I don't know. And probably what's happening is probably a consortium, a cabal, an oligarchy, a group, however you want to describe it, of Royal Guard top officials, right? The guys that are like the head honchos there in terms of the political military crew that runs that country. Just in the same way that like Kim Jong-un is the supreme leader, right, of North Korea. I highly doubt that Kim Jong-un is making all the decisions. I'm fairly certain that it is a consortium of his top generals that are having a consensus that make the top decisions. And in the same way, Iran is doing the same thing. There's a group of guys that are making the top decisions. They're still there, most of them. And even if you get rid of them, new ones are going to take their place. And the Iranians have not overthrown them. They haven't replaced their government with a new, more friendly Western government. So, like, if anything, Iran has become more hostile to us. So what was the point of doing this? What was the point of doing this? I don't get it. This is almost the worst of both worlds because it's like, just go fucking all the way or don't do it at all. Right? Either we fucking glass the Iranian military completely, send troops in the send boots on the ground, get it over with, get in and get out quickly. Don't establish a foothold there. Or we don't do anything at all. And they always retort, oh, well, they had a nuclear weapon. They had a nuclear weapon. Okay. They have a nuclear weapon and they might use it. So you want to bomb them? Bomb them. Destroy the nuclear weapon capability. You already did it once, according to your government, right? According to you guys, right? So why not just do it again? Like it's, or use a strategic strike. I guarantee you that the United States has strategic strikes capable enough of crippling the Iranian nuclear facilities and their capabilities of making a nuclear weapon without waging this kind of campaign. But let's hear J.D. Vance's answer. I've rambled enough.
Well, I think that's ultimately up to the voters, right? I think voters have every right to expect as much as possible out of their elected representatives. We certainly know that we were elected on a number of mandates. One was to close the border, which
it's up to the voter. Yeah, it's up to the voter. Like they elected you based on the economy. Like, what do you mean it's up to the voters? Like yeah. And you were elected on multiple mandates. But you're failing one of them, right? That's the whole point. See, what J.D. Vance is very good at is he's very good at debate tactics, classic debate tactics, where he shifts. He's able to find the weakness in your arguments and exploit them, while also covering for the weaknesses in his arguments by shifting topics, by masking harms and inabilities, by linking into harms and inabilities through inaction or taking the opponent's action if they deem there is one that needs to be taken. Like, it's very smart stuff the way he debates. And
I think we've done successfully, exceeded expectations there. Number two was to lower prices, and there's a lot of work to do, in large part because of what's happened over the last few months in the Middle East. But as you said, oil, which got up to $120 a barrel, now is at $80 a barrel. That's going to be reflected in lower fuel, lower food, lower energy prices.
It's still going to take time, and there's no guarantee that those food prices are going to come down quickly enough or ever, if ever at all. Some marketed items.
But there's a lot more work to do. The thing that I'm proudest about most, because as some of you may know, I grew up in one of these towns that was forgotten by the leaders in Washington of both parties, is that you're seeing, that's Middletown, Ohio. That's my hometown in southwestern Ohio. It was a proud steel town. I was raised by a grandfather who was a union steel worker, is that those jobs disappeared. Those factories closed down. The thing that I'm most excited about is you do see a large amount of capital investment.
Okay. So you see how he's shifted the topic here, right? So the question was about, hey, the question that she essentially asked was, hey, you were elected primarily, I will say, on the idea that your party, Donald Trump, and you were the guys capable of putting the economy back on track. And there was an idea, a perception that the economy was grossly out of whack during the Biden administration. But you guys since have done very little to actually affect the economy. And you've gone into Iran with this campaign, and that's caused the economy actually to take a downturn and inflation to skyrocket, especially amongst energy costs, which drives everything up, right? And he's shifted that into, well, we've seen a lot of capital investment, and that's really good. Okay, but what does that have to do with my question about what do you have to say about the current state of the economy? Like, because capital investment's good, but like, it's not going to solve the current issues that we're seeing, like
coming into our country. Factories being built, construction jobs are way up, manufacturing jobs are starting to catch up. So there's a lot more work to do. I think that we're making progress, but ultimately we're going to make our pitch to the voters in November, and they're the ones who get to decide whether we've done a good job or not, and that's how they're going to vote.
Okay. So President Trump has called affordability a hoax. He said that, not me. He's pouring money into this ballroom.
Sort of. Affordability is, affordability is all based upon your perception of like what is affordable. So like personal affordability is completely subjective. So I get what he's trying to say there, but
Room of his and the reflecting pool. Oh, don't forget the Arch de Trompe, I call it, and a White House cage match. All these things. Why is he doing them when you just?
Because it's spectacle. It's meant to. It's culture warring with other nations. We're hosting the fucking World Cup. The world's eyes are on us as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country as well. It's a good time to put on a spectacle and remind them who is the baddest motherfuckers around, which is us.
Everybody knows that Americans are struggling. What is he spending all this money for?
Well, I got to defend the president on the hoax point. What the president said is the idea that Republicans caused the affordability problem is a hoax. And I think that's true. If you go back to the Biden administration, inflation got up to 9% under the Biden.
Let's see here. Okay. Just want to be sure.
Administration, okay? Right now it's at 3.5%. By the way, too high. We're doing everything that we can to bring it back down to 2.5%, which is where most people would like to see it.
No, I'd like to see it deflate. I'd like to see some deflation, because deflation means that the value of my dollar is actually going to go up. We've had incredible amount of inflation for so long. We could use some deflation here, okay? Deflation is needed.
We inherited an affordability problem. We're doing a lot to make it better. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's a lot more work to do. But the president knows that a lot of Americans are struggling. In fact, he ran on that. He talked about it. And we've done some things and made some good progress on that point.
He just said he loves the inflation.
Okay, but it's been almost 2 years. So like
he said, Anna, what he said is that he loves the fact that the inflation is going to come down when this war is over. That's what he said.
That's not what he said.
That wasn't a direct. Are you his interpreter or are you his vice president? Come on.
I mean, that's kind of partly his job, though.
Well, look. What the president said. People were asking about the inflation. They were asking about the affordability problem, which again is very real. And what he said is, "I love the inflation because it's going to come down when the war is over." And now, again, we already see gas prices. Gas prices today, $4.06 a gallon, too high, but way down from where they were just a couple of weeks ago. So there's a lot.
You're getting fucked less, guys. Hey. You have to understand.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
It's going to take a good amount of time, with no hiccups, by the way, and Iran honoring the peace agreement, which I'm sure they'll do, for us to get back to the gas prices we had previously. Just to that. Let alone lower than that, which is what we were hoping for under Trump. We were hoping for record low gas prices, like we were getting even right before COVID. Because yes, we had record low gas prices during COVID, but that's because nobody was driving, on top of the good economy. And before that, though, we had a good economy and gas prices were already going low. I don't think we're going to get that here, though. I don't think we're going to get that during this administration.
Again, there's a lot we got to do, but I think that we're doing as much as we can. We're going to keep on working at it. And again, the American people are going to make their verdict. But I think that we have a very credible case to run on, that we brought a lot of new investment. We're building the factories. That is going to pay serious dividends for the American people over the long haul.
When?
When is the question? Here's the unfortunate part is that we live in a, and JD Vance knows this, we live in a we want it now society. So, and it's hard to go to voters with in the future when they want it now. And I understand that. And I understand I have to wait. But voters are not going to understand that.
Well, Joy, if you look at manufacturing jobs,
Okay.
those jobs are increasing at a large number. Construction jobs are doing a little bit better. So what happens is the construction jobs to build the factories, and then the manufacturing workers go back to work. That also leads to rising wages. That's one of the things that I'm very proud of. Is if you look at the amount that wages are going up now compared to, say, 2022, they're going up way faster.
But they're still not outpacing inflation. They're still not outpacing inflation, which means that inflation is still going up. Inflation is you're still going up, and your wages are going up, and everything is still costing more, but the amount of money you're making is not equal to, it's actually under the amount more that you have to spend. So like,
that's a good thing. The affordability problem, again, gas way too high right now. Certain things way too high. Rents have been either flat or down for 12 months now. So there are things that are showing signs of life, things that are showing signs of progress. My view, I'm sure you guys don't agree with it, is that we inherited a mess and we're fixing it. But sometimes it takes a long time to fix a mess.
Sonny.
Okay. Mr. Vice President, according to a new report from the New York Times, you were the leading voice behind the scenes to release the Epstein files, and we applaud you for that.
Oh, God. This shit again. Like, listen. The dude was an animal. Horrific human being. There's a lot of people that are never going to see the fucking light of day when it comes to the horrible shit that they were able to get facilitated knowing this man. But we're pretending that like Trump was the only president like during his existence. There wasn't like 4 other presidents at the height of this dude's like notoriety. Like,
and you warned top officials, including top DOJ officials, at strategy meetings taking place inside the Situation Room. We understand that there are tapes of those meetings, that this was a huge problem for the base. The report says you even floated having Tucker Carlson interview Ghislaine Maxwell to clear the president's name, but you were rebuffed by your people. Why?
Well, I'd say, first of all, don't believe everything that you read in any newspaper, whether it's a right-leaning paper or a left-leaning paper, because as you guys know, well, there are things that are true, things that are false, and things that are totally missing context. Well, here's what I'll say. So, number one, I am, frankly, kind of a conspiracy theory on the Epstein stuff, and that story says that that's one of the things that's true, is that some people called me a conspiracy theory on the Epstein stuff.
Called you a conspiracy
and I love Susie, but absolutely, she thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist on the Epstein stuff.
I mean, is he wrong though? Like, what? I mean, I feel like that's a good way to go. I mean, obviously, Epstein has multiple connections, and it's just gonna be a mystery forever, man. I don't think we're ever gonna get to the heart of this. I think it's another Kennedy assassination. It's another. Just legends are going to be built about it, and there's going to be documentaries on documentaries. And nobody's ever really going to get to the core of it. Ghislaine Maxwell ain't saying shit. She ain't ever going to say shit. Like, no, we're not going to ever get to the heart of this
stuff, because I think that it's crazy that you had this guy who is clearly a sex predator who was hanging out with a lot of very wealthy and powerful people. Like, that really bothered me. I don't know what's there, of course. Nobody knows exactly what happened unless you were there, but that really bothered me, and I wanted to have full transparency. What I disagree with is the idea that the White House wasn't committed to full transparency. We have to remember, like, I was inside the room when some of these decisions were made. The Epstein Files Transparency Act, the one that the president signed, the one that led to all these files that we're seeing, the emails. By the way, again, sorry, Dwight.
Okay, like, I'm gonna probably skip past this because, like, I honestly don't give a shit about the Epstein stuff anymore, because, like, it's something like I kind of just told me my thoughts on it. We're never gonna get the full details on Epstein. We're never gonna get the full story. So, like, there's really not a whole lot of point talking.
The email says actually
they didn't just know each other. Let's just be truthful and transparent here. They didn't just know each other.
He's in a lot of
they were in
when it reports the story. They tell the fact that they knew each other in the 80s, which the president himself admits. They ignore the fact that he narked on him to the police and led ultimately to Jeffrey Epstein's downfall.
Yeah, he's talking about how the press likes to report that Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, that they knew each other and all that, but they never report the fact that Donald Trump actually reported Jeffrey Epstein to the police and kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, banned him permanently after numerous allegations from Donald Trump's own staff that he was insanely inappropriate with them and inappropriate with other guests' wives, things of that nature. So, yeah, he kicked them the fuck out, and he reported him to the police, and he even cooperated with an he was the only person that was contacted by this Department of Justice official who was investigating Jeffrey Epstein. He was the only one who said, I'll sit down, tell you whatever you want. Because he thought it was important to get out about Epstein. And get this, and actually give any available important information possible, put the motherfucker away. He was the only one that responded. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why they try to keep pushing this narrative that they were buddy-buddy. It's clear that they're not. There's massive amounts of evidence they were not. Yeah, there's some pictures of like Trump hanging out with him, shaking his hands at him, buddy-buddy. But Trump fucking did that to Hillary Clinton too. He did that to all these motherfuckers. Because he was entertaining people, entertaining high-value guests, entertaining VIPs. He didn't know in the ins and outs of everybody all the time, especially when we first met him. He's basically buddies with the Clintons too. They're not buddies anymore. Time change, things change, and you get to know people more. So,
to that point, Anna, you know,
all right, let's
skip
a little ahead.
Is kind of crazy.
What was the bipartisan? It was Republicans and Democrats.
But because the Republicans control the House and the Senate, particularly the Senate, you need the Republican sign-off. What the president did is, look, I will say this again. I was in there in the meetings. He was very frustrated that the Democrats were making this about him when he's like, look, I threw the guy out of my club. I am the guy who reported him to the police, or one of the people who.
Yeah, it makes sense that he's frustrated that, like, hey, like, why am I being treated like somebody who did something wrong? I did everything right in this scenario. And you're still trying to tie me to this motherfucker. Like,
reporting to the police. The president, we're not holding anything back. Some of those things are like the courts have to order you to release them. So that was one thing that we confronted. You talk about these situation room meetings. Is there's a big bunch of files that existed. I think in the Southern District of New York, or maybe it was some other jurisdiction. But we were like, we want to release these files, but you need the court approval in order to release the files. Sometimes we would apply to release the files, and the courts would say no. So those particular documents, I would need to actually like know exactly what you're talking about.
3.5 million documents were released, and my understanding is 2.5 million have not been released.
Those may have been the ones that are under.
Why are there so many millions of documents regarding Jeffrey Epstein? Like, what the fuck? It's kind of wild that there's like over 5 million documents having to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Like if you told me there was 5,000 documents, I'd be like, okay, that's weird. It's like a lot, but sure. 5 million? Like,
courts. I don't know what the documents you're talking about, but I'm telling you,
let me go to break.
Sure.
Let me go to break. Because people are looking at me. Going.
And let's talk about the book. I'm here to sell books. Communion. Buy my book, please.
Eventually we will, but this is.
All right.
Trump from calling him America's Hitler.
With Vice President Jerry Vance.
All right.
With faith, from evangelical to atheist to Catholic convert. And you also explain your evolution similarly on Trump, from calling him America's Hitler to America's best hope. Now, as someone who has admitted to chasing ambition, which you write about in the book in the past, but now says your faith brought you back to your priorities, I have to kind of...
He's still chasing ambition. It's just... He's just... like That's kind of covered.
Use your own words that sit with me from 2016.
Sure.
Fellow Christians, everyone is watching when we apologize for this man. Lord, help us. And I think about that all the time because as a fellow Christian, that is something that weighs on my heart as I watch this country and the leadership at the top, because it's also something I have to explain to my kids, which I know we also share, this idea that our greatest privilege and responsibility are these young people.
I like that they don't even try to hide microphones anymore on television shows. They're just fucking right there. It's just like, nobody cares. Everybody knows how the sausage is made on this motherfucker. Like,
people we're raising.
Of course.
So help me find the words to explain to my children what they're witnessing right now.
Well,
what the fuck does that even mean?
It's been well covered that I was a critic of Donald Trump back in 2015 and 2016. Now, obviously, I'm sitting here as the Vice President of the United States in the Trump administration. Well, Joy, a little humility, actually. I think that when you make predictions and those predictions turn out to be false, you got to ask yourself, well, what made me wrong about that? What did I not understand or not appreciate? For example, I said that Donald Trump's economic policies would not lead to wage growth. They did in the first term. That was actually a major, major thing. I said that we couldn't bring back any of those factory jobs because I kind of had given into this idea that those jobs were disappearing. But actually, Donald Trump, you saw a manufacturing boom during that administration. So there's a certain point. Let me just this question. So there's a certain point where you say, you know, I made predictions about this. I ended up being wrong.
Yeah. Hey, shout out to flash flood warnings in Harris and Montgomery County there. My man Aaron Rupar just not just screen cap fucking some local channel. Oh God, what the fuck is this now? What the fuck? Oh, come on, man. Let's reload. Okay, well. Oh, shit.
MAGA Republicans, right?
That's okay. Decided to work on me here. Let's see here.
Controversial things Donald Trump said during the first term that I was wrong during his campaign is that I was led to believe by the stories. I read stories that said Donald Trump said that all Mexicans were rapists. He never said that. What he said is that the certain South American countries, Central American countries, were releasing criminals into our country, including Mexico. By the way, that was objectively true. So it's not.
It was basically admitted. It is what it was. It was almost admitted by the South American countries that they were fucking doing that. So yeah, like
so much Christians.
Fidel Castro did that in 1980 with the Mariel boat lift. There have been many men.
Dude, fucking Navarro, she's been like just full on in TDS since like fucking 2016, man. She's supposed to be a Republican too, by the way.
Journalists, including CNN, where you used to work and be my colleague, that have tried to find evidence of that. There is no evidence that Maduro was releasing people
I've forgotten
from insane
that J.D.
asylums
Vance
or
used to work at
jails
CNN.
like Fidel Castro did do. This was made up, and we just can't, accept it without pushing back.
Anna, we know that there were people who were released from prisons who were encouraged to come into the United States.
It wasn't the Mariel, Mr. Vice President. It wasn't where it was like a purposeful release, open up the jails, open up the insane asylums, and let people flood Florida. I lived through that in Miami.
If you go, it may not have been like Mariel, but if you go back to the caravans that were happening in 22, 23, we know that those things were funded. They were in some ways supported by the government.
There was absolutely.
So I don't know how you define support or not support, but if people are encouraged to come into our country after having spent time in prison by their own governments, I think that's a problem.
Well, Vice President, can I just add one more thing? Because you do speak about immigration.
See, it's also it's fascinating how he's able to. So he takes a very complex topic, and what he does is he breaks it down to the actual moralistic bones of the argumentation, and then he basically gets you to have to agree to the morals of the argument and the premise of the argument rather than the actual specific argument, right? So he starts with we start out with whether or not the caravans are coming over and sponsored by the governments, right? Specifically. And if that's a problem, we end with if it seems like other countries, people are coming over here and they're encouraged to do so and they're not good people, that's a problem. And we end with the basic premise of that's a problem rather than this is a specific incident that needs to be stopped. So it's very interesting.
At length in this book.
Sure.
And I believe as a Christian, I can tell my kids why it's important to have borders. I get that. There are laws, there are resources. I get all that thing.
Okay.
It's much harder to explain when I see someone dragged out of a house or wrongly taken to a thing that isn't a violent criminal. That is.
Okay, but here's the thing. Just because they have houses, just because they have families here, just because they have establishment here, doesn't mean that they're in the country legally. doesn't mean that they haven't violated laws. Doesn't mean that they're not also violent criminals. Or that they should be here. Like, this isn't a magical fairyland, okay? Like, yeah, it's hard for you to explain it to your kids. Guess what? Your kids have very basic moral instincts of what right and wrong is. And this is a very complicated moral question. Because we're dealing with the moral aspects of, yes, in an ideal sense, we'd love for people to just come over here and have no borders and just be able to take care of everyone and all that. But in a realistic moral sense, we cannot provide for everybody. And we cannot allow certain people who haven't gone through the specific systems to reap the benefits of the United States to have the same access to those potential benefits as the people who have gone through the system, who do have the right based upon their status, who do have the right based upon their criminal record or anything they've done. So, like, it's a more morally complex question that, like, your kids aren't going to understand. Sorry. My daughter is 4, all right? Almost 4. She doesn't understand the morally complex questions, all right? She doesn't understand complex biological questions. Today she asked me where ducks came from. I said they come from an egg. And she said, well, where do the eggs come from? And I said that the eggs just come from, they're just eggs. They just exist. They come from ducks. And like, that's just the cycle. That's just the way. And she just went, huh? And then went on playing. Like, you can't have moral quandaries with a 4-year-old. Sorry. Like, it's, anyway.
It's a little more nuanced as a parent to try to say when someone's referred to as vermin or scum, when I teach them in school about people that have done that before, but this is different. It's very hard as a parent and a Christian to say both.
Some people are bad. Some people are vermin and scum. I don't know what to tell you. That's how society rolls. Some people suck. Some people are shitbags. You're just going to have to accept it. And it's okay to call those people out. And if your kids witness that, then they learn something. Or you could step in and be a parent and be like, hey, you need to be better than that. You need to not say that kind of thing or whatever. Because I'm guarantee you that when Trump says those kinds of things, there's probably people in his life, or at least maybe there used to be. Melania probably still does it. Of course, at least according to the stories that he tells. That probably tells him, hey, why do you say this thing? You know it's going to rile people up. You know it's not 100% right to do that. But he's going to keep doing it because, like, that's just the way it is. By the way, it's just words. It's just words. Words can't harm you, despite what the left thinks. Words are not violence.
Things.
And you actually say in the book, you talk about this. You talk about this struggle, this internal struggle in the book, and you talk about moral trade-offs that result in favoring a strict migration policy without dehumanizing anyone. But listen, over 50 people have died in ICE custody. There are thousands of children, 6,200, that are being held in places like Dilley Detention Center. The people that have visited those detention centers, I don't know if you have.
Gun running or any other dangerous criminal enterprises that have been done using illegal migration. Also, if you don't want your kids to be put into detention centers for illegally coming across the border, do not come across the border illegally. This is not that difficult of a topic, I feel, to understand.
The subhuman, infrahuman conditions, the lack of clean water, the lack of medical attention, the lack of education. I would urge you as a Christian and as a father to visit those detention centers where the children are being held and make sure that the conditions up to the values that we hold in this country.
So you guys have thrown a lot at me, and I see we got 30 seconds left here. But let me say,
You're
number
the Vice
one,
President. You can go long.
I'd like to pick up on this theme because I think it's really important. We do have to strike a balance, of course, between enforcing our laws. We don't want to dehumanize people. That is the balance that, look, law enforcement, what I'd say about this, law enforcement is always inherently not a very pretty process, especially when you're dealing sometimes with violent people, with people who are resisting arrest. Some of the people that I've been told by the media were completely peaceful, had never violated any laws. You actually look into the record and you find out that those people were actually being violent, or they did have a criminal record. They had a sex trafficking conviction.
Don't have criminal records.
Yeah, so like that's the thing is that like just because they've cleaned up their act or that they're putting on a good front after coming through illegally does not mean they are not still a criminal. They don't have a criminal record. Shouldn't be here. Would be denied by the immigration services. There are certain things that are denied to citizens of the United States if you have a criminal record. Sorry. You can't own a weapon if you're a felon. Can't own a firearm if you're a felon. Sorry. But there's also certain things that migrants can't do, which is stay illegally if you have a criminal record. Stay illegally at all, really. But you're not going to be able to immigrate to the United States if you have a criminal record. Yeah, like I don't understand. This really is not difficult to understand, I feel. That there's a process that you have to follow. Follow the process. If you haven't committed crimes, if you're not a fucking absolute drain on society, you're probably going to get in. New Zealand has stricter immigration laws than the United States. Like, we have some of the most lax immigration laws in the world.
Majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families.
She says, did she say the majority? Hold on.
Have a criminal record. They had a sex trafficking conviction.
Don't have criminal records. So the majority of people that ICE is rounding up and taking out of their homes from their families, they're separating families. They're using children as bait.
But let me.
So they do have criminal records, especially if you're. I think those people that she's referred to, she's not counting the crime they're accused of, which is coming over the border illegally. It's still a crime. It still gets put on the criminal record. Like, if you come over the border illegally, it's a crime. Like,
are not criminal.
But can I respond to that, guys? Let me just say this. Okay, so you talk about the children. Here's what I'd say. Do we know that during the last administration, we had tens of thousands of children who were sex trafficked by the cartels, who were brought into our country in profoundly dangerous and predatory conditions?
Let's talk about this administration.
But here's the point. Unless
you have to talk about the last administration because this administration is having to clean up the previous administration's messes. You have to go back. It's all interconnected here. It's not that big. Like, it's not that hard to understand. Like, I don't
force the border. You invite that kind of conduct. You think that our immigration policies are inhumane based on the reporting of one person with a political bias. What I'm telling you is that it's inhumane to allow cartels to sex traffic people across our border.
And by the way, please hold on.
I appreciate that. We're going to get you back, Anna.
We're coming back with the Vice President, and I've got questions for you.
Great, thank you.
Two things. You talk a lot about your Catholic faith, but the Catholic faith says we take in immigrants.
Whoopi knows all about the Catholic faith. She played a nun once.
Take in people who don't have or who are having a hard time. How do you justify both things?
So let me say first a couple things, Whoopi. So number one, the book is actually way less political than you might think if you were just watching this. Because obviously we're getting into the issues of the day.
Right.
95% of the book is really not about politics. I kind of have to write about politics because I'm the vice president, but I want to answer your question.
Right.
So fundamentally, if you think about what is immigration enforcement, immigration is law enforcement. It's somebody who has broken a law. A law enforcement officer has to show up and enforce that law. Now, inherently, sometimes that process is not always going to be pretty if you capture a video clip of it, in the same way that if you arrest somebody for committing a violent or a nonviolent crime, sometimes it's not always pretty. What I'm saying is the Catholic faith is actually I think it strikes the right balance here. It says the Christian faith,
I mean, a lot of laws are based around like Catholic ideals and like Catholic laws, because modern laws are based upon Napoleonic codes, which were standardized laws that were put into policy during Napoleon's reign as emperor. During the 1800s, which were based largely around the standardization of different kinds of secular laws based around Catholic religious laws and Catholic religious proper and what you should do and et cetera, et cetera. So, which by the way, when they talk about like Sharia law, right? First off, Sharia law can't actually be like, it can't actually function within government because it doesn't have anything to do with government. It's all about like how you're supposed to like govern your family and stuff like that, interpersonal like relationships, stuff like that. It doesn't have anything to do with actual politics and government. And secondly, like if you even could find a way to integrate that into government, like Catholic law, Christian religion is woven into law as well, secular law as well, going back to the Napoleonic era. But that's getting deep into the history of all this.
It's true of Protestants and Catholics that you can have borders.
Yeah.
You're allowed to enforce your borders. That means the law enforcement piece of it. But you also have to take certain precautions and certain care, okay? And again, your argument is fundamentally, Whoopi, you're saying that we don't strike the right balance. I disagree with you about how we apply that, but nobody hopefully is saying we're not allowed to have a border.
No,
what I'm saying is that in order for us to actually enforce the law, you can't set a standard that says you're not allowed to deport anyone unless they've committed a violent crime. You've got to enforce the law equally.
So let me do my follow-up.
You don't have to raise your hand.
Let me do my follow-up.
Yes, I do.
Because you were talking about people. What did black people do to this administration that has allowed it?
What kind of fucking... I'm sorry. This is the way she said, what did black people do to this administration? I don't know why I found that funny. That's the funniest. I found Whoopi Goldberg in like forever. Ah, fuck. Ah, it frees up on me again. You motherfucker. It's way okay. This fucking thing, dude. Come on. Let's see. What do I have? Okay. That's interesting. All right. Come on. All right, we're waiting. Oh. Surprisingly enough, I have not been hit for copyright on this. Which I guess is good. Oh, yeah. Okay, I was about right here.
You all the same, yeah.
No, I want to know what she's...
You don't know what I'm talking about.
Your actual point.
So of information of black really stigmatize folks of color. And you know how hard it is. You have family.
Sure.
So when you see, you know, things, the Emmett Till stuff coming down, or them doing all kinds of removal of information of black heroes, how does that sit with you?
Well, what exactly are you talking about, Whoopi? Because you just I know.
This is how a man reacts, by the way, when a woman is going on about something and he has absolutely no idea what the fuck she's talking about. Where he's just listening and listening and listening, and she's just like, so like, what do you think? And he's just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can you rephrase that? Because you have no idea. Like, they're just going on about nonsense. And you know, fundamentally, whatever shit they're trying to get to, you don't believe in, or you think is stupid, but you want them to like try to find something specific so you can phrase your response. You can rephrase your response in a more diplomatic version, right? And that's what he's looking for. He's like, hey, can you ask me about something more specific within that question that I can be more diplomatic about? Because if I say what I want to say about the general shit you just asked me, I'm just going to say, what the fuck are you talking about? You're fucking crazy. So, but we're not getting that.
Emmett Till was the kid. No, I want to know what she's.
You don't know what I'm talking
to your
about.
actual point.
So in a lot of the museums, there's so many. You know, where they're taking down the actual history that happened in this country. Slavery happened. All kinds of stuff happened, and it seems that it has been.
What museums are removing black slavery historical artifacts? Like what museum is? What are they talking about? If anything, like I feel like museums have been expanding upon their slavery like knowledge and artifacts, especially West African slave trade, especially the African part of West African slave trade, a thing people don't really like to talk about, which is that a lot of enslaved Africans that ended up in the United States were originally enslaved by other Africans that were then sold off to colonials. So yeah.
Very easy for this administration to remove that, and also to denigrate black folks who have worked their behinds off to get this American dream. How do you, I mean, you know better.
There's white people that do that too, and other people of races that do that too.
So Sonny, that was actually a very helpful intervention, because I think the story you're talking about is where, you know, allegedly the administration is holding back the appointments of people based on skin color. I've seen this story.
I'm talking about a host of things. I'm talking about black history getting erased from public spaces. Black voter districts are being dismantled. Black leaders are being sidelined from our ranks. Where do Americans of color fit in this vision? Because it doesn't seem...
See, what they're doing here is that a lot of this stuff that they're talking about is actually just happening to Democrats. So when they talk about like, black leaders are being erased from our community, or black representation is being taken away from our community through like redistricting and stuff like that. They seem to think that like black people this is a view you can only have if you think black people only vote Democrat, because that's what they're talking about. Because the redistricting only actually affects the Democratic Party based upon population and voting lines, right? But they think that because black people reside in that certain area, that they all vote Democrats, so redistricting that area is the reason why Democrats aren't going to be elected anymore. But if you do that everywhere, like that, it's a fundamental, almost it's a soft racism is what it is, of this idea that black people are only Democrat and only vote Democrat, when in actuality they are also, there's a fair bit of them that are also Republican. So like that's one of the things they do here is they confuse they often conflate like the experiences of black people to also like the state of the Democratic Party when they're two completely different entities, okay? And treating the black people like they are just the Democratic Party or a wing of the Democratic Party, it's kind of racist and kind of terrible.
Like we fit.
I think, Sonny, my view.
And if I may, since October of last year, there's been something like 6,668 refugees allowed into the country. All.
She said, if I may, I think over the last year there's been something like 6,668 refugees. Like, I think there's been something like this exact number. So why? She clearly like rehearsed that number and was in her back pocket. So like, I don't know why. It's
But 3 were white South Africans.
So, first of all, I'm very skeptical of that number because we have a lot of different immigration pathways in the United States of America. But let me just address Whoopi's point. Look, first of all, you asked the question, and maybe you don't believe this coming from me, but I think everybody is welcome in our political coalition. Frankly, even if you didn't vote for us, everybody is welcome in our country so long as you're an American citizen with the duties and the legal obligations and rights to be here. But Whoopi, let me just give you an example of this. Okay, so you say that we're anti-minority or anti-black.
No, I didn't say that. I asked. See?
Well, okay, fine. Fair.
Don't start any stuff with me, man. Don't get me in trouble. Don't start no stuff with me. But
I misinterpreted your question, but let me answer your actual question there. What I'm saying, I think, okay, look at Washington, D.C. One of the most democratic and one of the blackest, by share of population, blackest cities in the United States of America, has seen a radical decrease in violent crimes and sexual assaults and in murders. We have tried to take the crime issue seriously, in part because we believe everybody, whether you're black or white or rich or poor, deserves to live in a safe neighborhood.
Why was...
And there's really, it's very hard for Democrats to defend the cleanup of Washington, D.C. because... yes, it is a predominantly black city and predominantly black and immigrant city, to be honest. And they cleaned it up. They rapidly reduced crime. They vastly reduced crime by having a heavy police presence and heavy authority presence within D.C. And to the point where even Democratic hardliners had to admit that the administration's approach to governing the city and cleaning up the city worked. You had people in the fucking press corps saying how they finally felt safe to walk around at night because of the actions of the administration. Hardliners on the left had to agree and give the administration praise on this. It was an amazing thing to behold. And it's very difficult for them to defend that, and he's 100% right.
Why does the crime? Where does the crime step in? This is not about crime. This is about
women lost their jobs.
Right. This is about human
Sonny,
rights.
What you're saying is we got to do more on the economy.
Black history has been erased from public spaces.
Black history is not erased from public spaces.
Guys, we do have to get to Iran when we get back. There's some very important news to get to.
I'm telling you, we celebrate Black history. We celebrate all American history in this.
Fundamentally, like, he's trying to argue like facts based upon like racial prejudices, facts based around like crime statistics, and what the administration has done to prevent crime and all that. They're wanting to argue about the fictional erasure of like Black history, which is just simply not true. It's not something that's happened. Whatever. Anyway, I think we've seen enough of this. We've done this for like an hour and a half, covering this 24-minute like bit. But yeah, JD Vance is, I think he crushed it. I think he did really, really well in the interview. But it's interesting how his mind works and how he debate. Again, I think he's better than Trump actually at when it comes to getting his ideas across and actually being communicative and debating people. Where he's actually able to get ideas across in a sensible way that appeals to less intellectualized individuals, less institutionalized individuals that don't have higher learning education. And that's incredibly important, not just to the voting base, but also to, the broader just constituency, the United States, on a national platform. I think it's really, really good. But anyway, I'm going to go get some more water because that whole segment just left me dry mouth. And then we're going to talk about, let's see here. We'll talk about Microsoft and Xbox. I put out a video. I put out basically 2 videos back to back about the whole Xbox situation, but we'll cover it again here. So I'll be right back. I'm going to get some water. Okay, we're back. So, yeah, let's look at some Xbox bullshit here. Okay. So, first off, this is a minor thing, but like, I always love when Pirate Nation tries to stir up some shit. And it's not just him, it's actually all these reporters, all these reporting like pages on Twitter and X. And they're trying to like, they try to stir up some shit and then they just get called on it because Pirate Nation says here, hardware leaker Sneakers SO claims Microsoft may already be reconsidering its recent renewed focus on Xbox exclusives. Posting on NeoGAP, blah, 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 3-4 weeks ago, suggested recent push around exclusives was largely intended for convention season. Executives talk, blah, 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 blah. Already there is talk about how to reverse course on it. And then at the end he includes, while Sneakers SO has previously been accurate on some Xbox hardware information, it should be treated as rumor. And just like all the comments are basically like, Sneaker SO, the same, I don't know, Risatera loser that said this, exclusives are absolutely not happening. And then they have the Matthew Ball here from Xbox. These rumors are false. Gears of War E-Day and Clockwork Revolution will stay exclusive. There are no conversations and have been no conversations to reverse course. And as we said last week, players will continue. I like that Matthew Ball is like the clap back guy. He's like the guy that's like willing to go on Twitter and basically call everybody on their shit. Like, no, that's not fucking happening. Why are you talking bullshit? Like, this is not the first time this guy has done this. So clearly he's going to be that guy for Xbox on Twitter. This guy's always wrong. Yeah, exclusives not happening. Same thing. It's all the same stuff of like, anyway. So it's funny that they're trying to pile on bad news on Xbox when there's plenty enough bad news to really go around, because as you may have heard from Shinobi on Twitter here, Bloomberg, several Xbox studios, including Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, Double Fine, are in active negotiations with Xbox to spin off as they try to avoid closure. These are not the only 3 Xbox studios at risk of closure, says Jason Schreier. I'm thinking Obsidian. And these studios, yeah. You may have heard of a few of them. So Compulsion Games, these are the guys that made South of Midnight. Ninja Theory, those guys made Hellblade. And Double Fine has made like Psychonauts, smaller games that I would classify as Game Pass filler. And hold on just a second, guys. I actually have to go take care of something. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Again. Sorry. I'm going to be real honest with you. All that food, you remember I might have said at the beginning of the stream that I ate today, it decided to attack me all at once, just like a couple minutes ago, out of nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. So I had to go take care of that situation. Anyway, so as I was stating here, Xbox is apparently closing Compulsion Games, Ninja Theory, and Double Fine. Now, Compulsion Games, they made South of Midnight. Ninja Theory made the Hellblade series. Real interesting part about that is that they just announced Senua is coming out, which is their next sequel game in the Hellblade series. So you had a company that announced their sequel game, their big sequel game. They got a full trailer reveal, massive show off at Summer Games Fest by Xbox, and they celebrated that shit as an exclusive. And now it got announced that they're getting closed as a studio. Right there. Ninja Theory. So that's happening. Plus you have Compulsion Games, like I said, South of Midnight. South of Midnight had the big controversy of they worked with Sweet Baby Inc. extensively. If you don't know what Sweet Baby Inc. is, they are a advising company, a consultant company that basically comes in and tells you all the ways that your game isn't woke enough, that your game isn't politically left-leaning enough to invite a broader audience. And by broader audience, they mean leftist blue hairs that live in California and will not actually buy your game. So they consulted heavily on South of Midnight. I think they might have even written the game, if I remember. But the main protagonist of the game was originally written to be a white girl. They changed the character to be black at its core level, whatever. It's supposed to be the Deep South, I think this takes place in Louisiana, the Bayou of Louisiana, which, sure, fine. Makes sense that way, so, it's whatever. What people don't like or did not like was when the news got out that they fired the lead voice actress because, and this is according to sources that are close to her, a streamer that I know that's friends with her and actually had contact with her, talked to her and stuff. She was fired essentially because they felt like she didn't fit the role enough. That essentially she didn't sound black enough for the role of the black female lead. Despite the fact that the voice actress herself was black. So riddle me that level of racism there. So I don't know. But ultimately, with the controversy surrounding Sweet Baby Inc. and this game being completely embroiled at sort of the height of that, it's kind of died down now. Mostly because I think people have just become aware of it. So people are consulting with Sweet Baby Inc. less. Or when they do, it's to less of an extensive amount. Or at least they're not listening to them as much when they consult. The game didn't offer... What the game was offering was not compelling enough to have great word of mouth that combated the controversy. Nor did it have a great story to do so either, or great marketing. So the game has essentially fallen on deaf ears, and it never went anywhere. And now the game is dead. Now it looks like the company's going to be dead. And Double Fine, they made Psychonauts, which is a very, let's just say, Nintendo-coded game. And that's the kind of style of game that they make. And it's not, they're also very sensitive on social media. They block Smash JT, who, according to Smash, I don't know if he actually said it like this, but according to him, that he just said and reposted or tagged them or whatever, that he wondered if Nintendo was going to pick them up, and they blocked him. Probably because of who he is and what he's tied to and his beliefs and all that. And they found out, well, who he is, or they just realized who he was, etc. But either way, it seems like they're very sensitive about blocking people or the whole subject. So yeah, they're those kinds of people. And also, like, I don't think Nintendo would pick them up. I don't think anybody kind of really picks them up because they're, again, the games they made were, in my opinion, filler games. They were games that existed to fluff out Xbox Game Pass. Now, does that mean that they're bad? Not necessarily. But does that mean that they're good enough that you should pick up at full price, even at probably non-AAA like prices? Probably not. Probably not. I think Senua was a full price game, maybe, from Ninja Theory. If so, and you bought that at full price, that's fucking wild. Especially, I think the sequel to it or whatever, the direct sequel or like midquel or whatever the fuck that came out for it. It was like something Sacrifice. It was like 5 hours. Like it was nothing. At least in terms of an action adventure game, if you play something like Mixtape, which is a game in theory, barely in practice, and that's 4 hours, and it feels like 10. But yeah, there's just no way any of these games were ever gonna, like, they say they want to spin off, which is a fancy new corporate speak for, say, sold. But I don't think anybody's going to buy them, right? PlayStation doesn't really care to buy them because none of them fit the PlayStation mold. PlayStation has 2 games they're really invested in, which is big AAA, blockbuster, cinematic heavy, like, movie games, right? That's their single player, like, arc. Or slop online multiplayers. That's it. That's all that's there is PlayStation. Everything else they rely on Microsoft actually to provide, for the most part, and other third parties. CD Projekt Red. What's the other one? CD Projekt, Krafton, things like that. Ubisoft. Which, speaking of Ubisoft and Krafton, I don't think Ubisoft will buy any of these people or any of these companies because Ubisoft can barely afford the few franchises that it has. I don't think Krafton is going to buy these studios because Krafton's already bought Wayward Studios that have been spun off, I guess you could say. And I don't think Krafton wants to become known as like the publisher for like spun off misfit toys. I don't think that's something that they want to happen. I don't think that's what they envision for the company. So yeah. I highly doubt that they're going to find any buyers. Some people, I don't think. Oh yeah, and like, here's the thing. This is from Pirate Nation. According to entertainment lawyer Simon Pullman on LinkedIn, both South of Midnight and Outer Worlds 2 had budgets of around $100 million each, including development and marketing costs. Pullman also claimed that South of Midnight roughly sold 500,000 copies, while the Outer Worlds 2 sold around 1 million copies. How in the hell did South of Midnight cost that much money? At this point, one thinks it is a money laundering. There is no other way. I'm not sure about that. But I think that it was just they got a shit ton of money from Xbox, and they blew it, right? Probably consulting Sweet Baby Inc. I just don't think that. I think budgets for games are overly bloated anyway. I mean, if we are to believe the numbers, it costs like $10 million to make Expedition 33. If that's true, Expedition 33 is like, it's to the gaming industry what like fucking Obsession is to film right now. It's an indie game with a barely there budget that has ingrained itself as probably the game of the decade. Absolutely ran the table at the award shows, and has made money hand over fist, and cemented a studio this is the only game they've ever done as a go-to independent studio, as a studio to expect big things out of. Because there's only a few independent studios that I guarantee, like, I expect bangers from every time, right? Saber, I expect bangers from. Larian, I expect bangers from. And now Sandfall, I also expect bangers from them too. We'll see. We'll see if their next game makes it. We'll see if it's an exception or a rule. So, in terms of like writing talent, they got it. In terms of like perspective on gaming, and that these people are actually gamers and want to make games that they want to make to play for themselves, that's important. They got that too. So I think they're going to make it. But $100 million for South of Midnight, I just don't see how you spend that much to produce a $40 game, because that's what it cost actually, that was bound for failure, and everyone knew it was bound for failure if you just look at it. Like, by the way, not everybody agrees with the direction of cutting a whole bunch of studios, because apparently Xbox Game Studios boss Craig Duncan and Xbox Chief of Staff Louise O'Connor are leaving the company. They quit. And personally, I see this as a good thing. I see this as actually the ability for Asha Sharma and the Xbox team to put in new executives in their position that actually share the same vision as them and the rest of the company, that can help facilitate what they actually want to get done. And I think cutting these studios, by the way, inherently is not a bad thing either. These studios, by all accounts, did not produce games that were interesting, that made money, that were culturally relevant, that honestly people even just cared about. Have you ever met a Psychonauts fan? Have you ever seen one on Twitter posting about how much they love it? Have you ever even sought one out? Or did you even know what that was before seeing this? Probably not. Hellblade. Hellblade's probably the most wide-known game here, right? And that, I gotta be honest with you, that seems like a franchise that just exists, that I've had no interest in. And I think a lot of people just have had no interest in. There's no real, like, design of Hellblade that makes it interesting. It's a woman in what looks to be prehistoric or like ancient Celtic vibes, Viking vibes in terms of armor and wear and all that. But it doesn't draw anybody in because of that combination, I feel. No matter how good the writing is, the story is. Like, it's just not. And Compulsion Games, I mean, South of Midnight, what can you say? You invest in woke and DEI, and you go after that audience that doesn't exist heavily, and you're gonna lose every time. And I'm not purely like an anti-wokey, right, when it comes to gaming. I don't like agenda in video games either way. But when you actively consult someone like Sweet Baby Inc., they're going to inject politics and cultural stuff into modern cultural stuff into your game. But yeah. Let's see what else we got here. I might actually Fable. We'll talk briefly on Fable. So, everybody was losing their minds when it came to like the Fable gameplay, by the way. I don't think the Fable gameplay looked that bad. Here's what it is. The Fable gameplay that they showed in the gameplay trailer was like watching fireworks, right? It's very pretty, very smooth, very fluid, looks very good on the eyes from far away and not paying attention to it too closely. But as soon as you get up and closer, you pay attention to the very specific details, it doesn't look good. The facial animations are completely fucked. Like, listen, Crimson Desert has some bad facial animations. They're barely there. They exist, but they're barely there. And one of the reasons why it's hard to get into that game, at least for me, is that none of the characters compel me. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that their faces don't fucking move. They don't show any expression. There's no character life within their face. They just sort of exist within their face. If you feel me. And because of that, it's hard to have attachment, so it's hard for me to get into the game because I'm a gamer who loves story as an element of their game. Not just pure gameplay, which it's very apparent that Crimson Desert leans heavily into the gameplay aspect, which is fine. And I can enjoy. The one thing I do like about Crimson Desert is that it's a game that I can easily jump into and jump out of. Go in, have a quick adventure at the end of the day, at the end of the work, and I want to just play a little bit of a fantasy game where I can fight some guys in fucking armor. And then I can leave. Not feel bogged down into a storyline. Like, that's nice. But it's hard to have a connection to this game. And Fable feels a lot like that. Fable feels like it has a lot of Crimson Desert vibes into it, in that it feels underpolished in terms of character development, in terms of story. This despite the fact that, as Pirate Nation states here, Playground Games, who's doing Fable, confirmed that Fable's 1,000 NPCs are voiced by real actors, not AI text-to-speech. According to the studio, around 100 actors were cast to bring the game's living population to life, with every NPC fully voiced. Developers said they recorded tons and tons of dialogue and said that all voices in the game come from human performances. Yes, but they're not coming from human-looking faces because the faces don't move. So what's the fucking point? Like, the game features more than 150,000 lines of dialogue and over 1,000 handcrafted NPCs, with multiple recording studios working in parallel for more than 1,000 hours this year alone. That's pretty impressive. The least impressive thing here is 150,000 lines of dialogue. I honestly thought there would be more. Sorry. I know that makes me an asshole. But still. So, like, here's the thing, though. If you have 100 actors, and say they all voice 10 NPCs, do it split evenly, right? There's absolutely no way that you get 100 actors to voice 10 characters each, if we divvy it up evenly, and all those voices come out quality. I'm sorry. There's just it's absolutely not. No way that it's going to happen. So I would prefer almost that you have AI text-to-speech do the voices and focus on getting 10, 20 actors to voice the important NPCs and make them high quality. Because some of these characters, despite having all human voice actors, are still going to sound shit. Sorry. I don't know, man. It's wild. I just don't... Like, look at this, dude. Fucking dead in the eyes, man. And they're all like this. They're all like that. And yes, they're not the most attractive. People were going on and on. The Yorch Torches people of the world, the Grums of the world, were going on and on about how, like, oh, the women in Fable are not pretty. Yada, yada, yada. Well, okay. Fable was never known for great beauty, first off. And I get it. People are like, well, they're doing more realistic art style now, so they should be more realistic and have more attractive females, because attractive females are realistic. You're trying to say they're all... No. Sure, it's more realistic in terms of the look of the characters. But, like, honestly, who cares? Like, but not every game has to make their female characters as beautiful as Marvel rivals. I know there's this trend right now that's like goon everything. I know there's this trend now like, why are we making all the females in gaming, movies, TV, all that flat in terms of their asses and their chests, making them not look as beautiful, yada, yada, yada. But also, we don't have to go the opposite direction and make everybody like a busty hentai female. We really don't. Anyway, it's kind of my thoughts on it. That's my abridged thoughts on it. So now we're 2 hours in. I'm thinking it's time to start the Doom Scroll. Yeah. So let's pull it up here. There we go. Looks like we're going to start with some stupidity off the bat. Jeremy Allen White praises the UK for banning social media for kids under 16. There needs to be a correction. Okay. So here's the deal. It starts there, right? It starts with we need to ban social media or put restrictions on social media because of the children. We have to protect the children. The children must be guarded, must be protected. It's always to protect the children. And then it always expands to beyond that, right? It always expands to the next thing. They always use the guise of protecting the children to expand to the next thing. And then next thing you know, the government has full control of social media, just like they do the press. And then you have no real access to actual, like, intellectual thought. No real access to unfettered, non-manipulated thought and articles and etc. Uncensored material. So yeah. Very, very dumb. Please just play Gene Wilder in the biopic we're all waiting. Chris Gore asking the real questions. Oh God, what is this? Oh God, Reforge. In light of recent news, my tweet is more relevant. Grimiest company ever. The Verge is reporting that Ninja Theory was told on a call they will be closed down and now hoping for a buyer. Xbox is officially the grimiest company. You use them to pad your showcase with a trailer and then close them. God. Reforge has...
Why are you gay?
Hiya! He has some of the dumbest takes possible, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Like, grimiest. Let's talk about PlayStation. Let's talk about Nintendo. Let's talk about motherfuckers that are actually suing people for emulating their games, for modding their games. Let's talk about the company that literally took games, access to a game away from people who bought it because they couldn't, not wouldn't, couldn't access the game because of where they lived. They couldn't access PlayStation Network because of where they live. That's pretty fucking grimy. So, yeah. Remember, these studios shut down. You'll see plenty of the people claiming they're heartbroken. Many of those same people never bought the games. Support isn't measured by tweets. It's measured at the checkout screen. He's right. This person, 100% right. This is the same as people. This is, you got mail, right? This is the same people that they complain about the local bookstore closing down, right? So Amazon can just sell all the books online. And they complain and cry about the local bookstore closing down, but they never actually went in and bought a fucking book. They just they just went in and browsed, right? So 100% correct. It's so fucking embarrassing how hard you ride that Sony corporal cock. Have some Manchester studio, Japan studio, business studio. While Xbox studios keep shutting down, Sony studios keep growing. Tripster, another terrible person on the internet in terms of their gaming opinions. And yeah, there's all these PlayStation studios that close down, Sony studios that close down. So yeah, we'll give old Joshy boy a like on that one. They made this sound amazing. Yeah, I saw this. Army Hammer's return to acting in a racist film, Citizen Vigilante, has been banned in Germany. Follows a wealthy American in Europe who blames migrants for rising crime, portrayed by an actor accused of SA by several. Army Hammer, who also told the girl he wanted to eat her, cannibalism fetish. He was weird. Anyway, it's always struck me as a weird dude, but it's funny, dude. There's clearly now an attempt by failed actors to establish a pipeline into the conservative realm, because they always do this. They fuck up, they get ostracized from their highly liberal society, and then all of a sudden they come in like the fucking grifter con artist motherfuckers that they are, and are like, hey guys, here's this conservative piece of art that I did. I'm just like you, right? Please support my shit. Like this guy, what's his name? Who was fucking Kang in Marvel. Him trying to do a movie with Daily Wire. Which I don't know what is Daily Wire's movie division up to these days? Feels like every project they had has not it hasn't come out. So I don't know. You need to see it, but I'm not sure how much you can openly discuss it based upon your current location. Oh yeah, the UK, yeah. Valve co-founder Gabe Newell has bought a luxury waterfront home in Manalapan, Florida, for $70 million, according to Wall Street Journal. Property was $260. Honestly, go ahead, man. Gabe's earned it. Gave us a great platform. This actually happened and still happens. Elon's vague posting. Rupert Lowe's independent damn. RG Inquiry estimates that at least 250,000 white British girls have been groomed, you know what, and you know what, by perpetrators who are predominantly Pakistani Muslims. Fucking hell, dude. Fucking hell. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum of the internet, I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Y'all act like the new designs is the worst thing ever when they've done it once 3 years ago and y'all liked it. I'm so glad I grew up with this, but damn, this is better. Yeah, they redesigned Puss, but here's the thing. Puss in Boots isn't Shrek.
Exposed, 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 exposed.
Shocking, I know. I'm exposing some real secrets here.
Exposed, 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 exposed.
Hiya!
Puss in Boots can be a different art style. In fact, the whole movie was a different art style. And was very distinctly different from the Shrek films and wanted to be that way artistically. So people accepted it more because it was greatly different. The Shrek movie is like Uncanny Valley, where they're trying to be like similar, but also completely different. But pretend that they're not being different. And it just makes people feel uneasy when they see it. So yeah, there's a contextual difference to these things. We know that 250,000. Oh my god, dude! Damn, bro. Look at that. Oh, can't show that. Fucking Quarter Black Garrett loves to reply that fucking meme. Me calling you a games media veteran out for understanding the difference between revenue and profit is not hating. You interviewed Phil Spencer on several occasions, asked softball questions, and now you act surprised when the math isn't mathing. I was replying to Justin here. A video where half the world hated her to opening her OF and making... Oh yeah, this is the girl, the pancakes girl, right? Yeah. She makes OnlyFans content where she like fucks herself or something now. So if you're into that. Savvy. Look how soft and flaccid our VP is. This is weakness. Maybe you can send them a strongly worded letter in a few months and then follow up in a year later to see if things have changed. Trump, we don't have to do this anymore. What is this? 3 Giants pitchers wore Bible verses on their Pride Night caps during Friday's game. MLB since issued a warning to them. That's kind of wild. I don't know why JD Vance is telling Trump we don't have to do this anymore. I don't understand why JD Vance tweeted that, but this is one of those tweets where it's like, you could have said nothing. We were just touting his intelligence earlier. But like, that's the thing, right? It's the classic like millennial curse, I feel, is that, and he is a millennial, which is that you praise them, and then as soon as you praise them for something, they fuck it up. It's part of my generation's curse. Transmission people, be like, respect my pronouns, or yeah, damn, Flash. Damn. Posting some hot ones tonight. Games are ridiculously expensive to make these days, and I can't help wondering where all that money is going. We're spending hundreds of millions, taking 6 to 8 years to develop a game, and then getting outperformed by projects made by teams a fraction of the size. Maybe we're not making better games. Maybe we're just making more expensive ones. I mean, yeah, she's right. And also, it all boils down to story, engaging gameplay, and just characterization. Those three things, right? Make me care about the characters, make me care about the direction the characters go, and make me care about how I physically get them to that point. These are really the three big tenets of gaming. You make me care about all three of those, you're probably going to have a hit game on your hands. It's breaking rumor. Bungie are set to have a 50% layoff of employees. Sheesh. That's just Smash JT talk in there. Like, that could mean these guys, I tell you, man, it's gotten so bad. It's gotten so bad these days that guys are just literally just posting everything they hear on the fucking like grapevine. Some things that they don't hear, they just make up. They hope manifests as true. Okay. Vance gives a truth dose to progressives who say believing in God is for crazy people. The same people will tell you that if a grown man takes some hormonal therapy, they're going to become a woman. You believe something that's far crazier. Damn. Damn. Mom and Pops passed 2 years ago. Grief hurricane. Damn, man. Sound. Pouring out for our boy, critically thinking and drinking. Let's see here. Marvel's animation X-Men 97. Best in character for the... I hear X-Men 97 is pretty good, even though they fired fucking Bo DeMeo, who seemed to be the best writer, like, at Marvel Television. Karen Kennedy tells Aaron her brother RFK once captured a snake while holding his infant child, showed it to kids at a birthday party, chomping on his hand, and then released the snake into a swimming pool filled with children. With my sister Carrie in 1964, pre-TDS. What? Why is... How does... This doesn't... I like that this doesn't refute any of the claims, but like, this is just RFK being like, man, remember those times when we were a family and you weren't batshit fucking crazy, sis? Like, that's wild. That's a wild thing to do. And holy fuck, he ratioed the hell out of them. Holy fuck, dude. Aaron Burnett out front. Aaron Burnett, 720 likes. Is 39,000 on this shit. Holy fuck. Holy.
Exposed. 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 Exposed.
He literally said,
"Shut up, silly woman."
Kratos to David Jaffe. I am your monster no longer. It's funny how the character he created has more character development than him in real life. God of War is better with Corey Barlog. I mean, maybe, I guess. I mean, who knows what David Jaffe would have done with Kratos, because he's been fucked up for so long. He's fucked up on leftist beliefs is what he is. Sea creature. This scene, wherever we go to. Selma Hayek. She's got a wet titty. God dang. A lot of half-naked women on here tonight, too. King... What the fuck? I'm telling you. Siri is going to be gay, and we're going to see pride flags in the next Witcher 4. Yeah. I don't think they're going to go that far. But Siri did have the option to romance, to say that she was into women, actually, in the first game. So there might be that, or they might just make her bisexual to fit your whims, as they used to with a lot of RPGs, and I think they should go back to that. Messi with the hat trick. Are you kidding me? He's literally the entire... yeah, I mean, Messi is top tier for... what is it, Argentina? I think he's Argentinian. Can't remember. I wonder why. Spanish woman to die by euthanasia after long legal battle with father. You know what victim? 25 dies by euthanasia. So that's why. So yeah, difference in headlines there, huh? Trust in the news. Trust in news hits new low. Research. Yeah, that's a good. It's a good it's a show of it. Phil is reposting AI slop. This has me in actual tears. Damn. Yeah, that's a lot of ashes. Damn. It's a lot of ashes from a Spider-Man if he fucking sucked. Actually did it. What is this? What is this? He's slicing bread? Like that's it? All right. You know, down to frolic? No. I guess they meant fuck fascism literally. SPLC boss funneled 1.2 million to lover in neo Yahtzee group. Pair even had joint bank account. Just all right. I think that's it. Yeah, Phil being dumb. I think that's it for tonight. I think we've done enough. I think we've done enough doom scrolling, and we covered vast amount of topics. Covered the JD Vance stuff extensively. I was weirdly not hit for that for a copyright claim. Thought I would be, but I guess I did enough pausing and long talking in between that it satisfied the YouTube AI. For right now, we'll see what it says on the VOD. But I'm probably going to get copyrighted because the music on the soundboard that I play always gets me copyrighted. So we'll see. Anyway, hope you guys have had a good night. Enjoy the show. Anybody who catches on the VOD, really appreciate you guys. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. You guys are make this whole thing go around. And without you, I'm nothing. I appreciate every single one of you. Can't wait to see you again on the next stream. I might stream tomorrow. Might do a gaming stream tomorrow. We'll see. If I do, it will be late. Probably at night or earlier in the day. It won't be like in the evening-ish period. So, we'll see where it goes. Appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good night. And we'll catch you all in the next one.